The sky was heavy with gray clouds that morning, casting long shadows across the schoolyard. The kind of day where even laughter feels muted, where the air carries a weight that most ignore, but not Valentina Shevchenko. She felt it deep inside. It wasn't the weather pressing down on her heart. It was something heavier. Something that had followed her for months. Valentina sat alone on the wooden bench near the basketball court, her backpack clutched tight to her chest, her eyes fixed on the cracks in the pavement. Children ran past her, chasing after each other with shrieks of joy, their sneakers squeaking against the wet ground. To them, the day was ordinary. But for Valentina, ordinary no longer existed. Every step she took on campus came with the dread of what was waiting for her. You see, Valentina wasn't weak. She wasn't fragile. She wasn't the shy girl everyone thought she was. In truth, she was stronger than even she realized. At home, her life was disciplined, structured, filled with early mornings of martial arts practice before dawn. Her mother had raised her on principles of respect, patience, and resilience. The greatest battles, her mother always told her, are the ones fought inside, between your anger and your peace. But at school, none of that seemed to matter. All they saw was a girl who kept to herself. A girl who rarely spoke. A girl who walked with her head slightly lowered, as though trying to disappear into the crowd. And to the bullies, that made her the perfect target. The bullies. There were 4 of them, 3 boys and 1 girl. Together, they formed a cruel little pack, feeding off one another's laughter and daring one another to push the limits of meanness. Jason, the tallest, was their leader. Loud, brash, always desperate for attention. He came from a broken home, but instead of finding healing, he found control in making others feel small. Mark, his shadow, was less confident, but laughed the loudest whenever Jason humiliated someone. He was the kind who bullied not out of cruelty but out of fear of being the next target. Ryan, the smallest, was the troublemaker. What he lacked in size, he made up for with a sharp tongue, always ready with a cutting insult. And then there was Amber, a girl with a cruel smirk who often instigated the torment with whispers and rumors. She enjoyed watching others squirm under her words. To them, Valentina was entertainment. It started small, books knocked off her desk, whispered insults as she passed by, mocking the way she spoke. But as weeks turned into months, it became relentless. Rumors about her family spread. Lunch trays accidentally spilled on her. Lockers slammed shut just as she tried to reach inside. Valentina endured it all with silence. Her classmates noticed but looked away. Nobody wanted to risk becoming the next victim. One rainy afternoon, when the hall smelled of wet coats and muddy shoes, Valentina felt her patience slipping. She was gathering her things at the end of class when Jason blocked her path. "Where you running off to, silent girl?" he smirked. Mark and Ryan flanked him, while Amber leaned casually against the wall, arms crossed, watching. Valentina didn't answer. She adjusted her bag on her shoulder and tried to step around him. Jason shoved her lightly back. "No, no, no. We're talking to you." Ryan snickered. "Yeah, maybe she lost her voice. Maybe she's a mute." Mark chimed in, "Or maybe she thinks she's better than us." Valentina swallowed hard, keeping her composure. She bent down to pick up the notebook Jason knocked from her hands. But as she did, Ryan noticed something fall out of her bag, a small silver pendant on a thin chain. He picked it up, dangling it mockingly. "What's this? Your little good luck charm? Looks cheap." Valentina froze. That pendant wasn't just jewelry. It was her grandmother's gift, something sacred, something tied to her family's roots. "Give it back," she said, her voice steady but quiet. Jason grinned. "Or what?" And with a cruel laugh, he dropped it on the floor and pressed his shoe against it. Something inside Valentina shifted. For months she had endured, staying silent, choosing peace. But this was different. This wasn't just about her. This was about respect, about dignity, about everything she had been taught. Her body straightened. Her eyes, usually soft and distant, locked with Jason's. For the first time, her voice cut through the hallway like steel. Pick it up. The unleashing. The bullies laughed. They thought it was still a game. Jason reached down to crush the pendant under his foot. But before his shoe could press harder, Valentina moved. Years of training surged through her body, not with anger, but with precision. In a blink, she sidestepped Jason's attempt to block her and grabbed his wrist, twisting it with just enough pressure to make him yelp. His knee buckled, and he dropped to the floor. Mark lunged forward, but Valentina's stance shifted. Calm, controlled, unshakable. She redirected his momentum, guiding him into the wall with a thud that knocked the air out of him. Ryan tried to charge from behind, but Valentina spun, her foot sweeping just close enough to trip him, sending him sprawling onto the floor. Amber froze, her smirk gone. She tried to shove Valentina, but her shove met a wall of discipline. Valentina blocked effortlessly, then stepped back, her gaze steady and unwavering. In seconds, the bullies were on the ground, wide-eyed, trembling. The hallway echoed with their gasps and whimpers. "Please, don't hurt us," Jason stammered. Valentina bent down, picked up her pendant, and slipped it back into her pocket. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I never wanted to hurt you. But strength isn't about making others feel small. It's about protecting what matters." And with that, she walked away, her steps measured, her dignity intact. The aftermath. The story spread through the school like wildfire. Whispers filled the halls. Students who had once turned away when Valentina was mocked now looked at her with awe. They had witnessed something extraordinary, not a fight, but a demonstration of real strength. The bullies, once feared, now carried the weight of their shame. They avoided Valentina, but not out of fear of her fists, out of respect for her composure. For the first time, they saw how empty their cruelty had been. A week later, Jason approached her. His voice cracked, his hands stuffed in his pockets. I'm sorry," he muttered. "We were wrong. I was wrong. You didn't deserve any of that." Valentina studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "Apology accepted. Just don't repeat it with anyone." From that day forward, the bullying stopped. The message. Valentina never bragged. She never retold the story for glory. She continued her life with quiet strength. But those who saw what happened never forgot. She had shown them that silence doesn't mean weakness. That kindness isn't cowardice. That when paired with discipline, patience is the greatest power of all. And her story became a quiet legend, a reminder that the strongest people are often the ones who fight not to hurt, but to protect. Closing call to action. Friends, if Valentina's story inspired you, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever been underestimated because you stayed silent? Have you ever been pushed to a point where you had to show your true strength? Share your story, I'd love to hear it. And if you want more emotional and powerful stories like this one, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Be Kind Always. Because in a world where cruelty is easy, kindness is the true strength we all need.